Hey, Grace Life. Welcome to the After the Sermon podcast. This is Pastor Matt. I'm here with Darren Damron and Chris Holstein, and we're coming to you live from the car. This is After the Sermon on the road. We're going to attempt to turn this into Darren just said, what did you say, traveling roadshow?
That's it.
You know, multiple states, tour. We'll see what happens. After this past Sunday, we wrapped up our Family Trait series. Guys, let me start with this question. What was your favorite takeaway from the Family Trait series?
You know, it was literally today. I was talking with my daughter Coraline on the way here, and we were talking about what they're going to be studying tonight in student ministry. And she was going over being a joyful encourager. And I just think about just Miss Judy's video and just putting an emphasis on being a joyful encourager that entire week. And Coraline had made in her note little things, a little note called Little Things, and she put in there prayers and thoughts for others and things like that. I just think about just how joyful that was and what an encouragement that was to me to just see that.
Yeah, that's good. I really love the videos. They just they highlight, I think, for one, that these family traits aren't things that are new. These are things our church has already been doing, and there are people in our church that are modeling them because Jesus has transformed them. And Miss Judy's a great example. She's just such a joyful encourager. All right, Chris, what about you?
I probably like the effect it's had on the life groups. I think it gives us all the same purpose and same sense of unity of what we're supposed to be doing. And when we come together and we talk about this trait, and then we do that trait as best we can in the life group, whether it's passionate prayers or encouraging one another or talking about how the gospel is a champion in our lives and stuff like that. That's what I like the best.
Yeah, I've been thankful for how the Lord has used this series, and we're praying that even in the months and years to come, that the family traits won't be a series that we just set to the side, but it'll be who we are and who we are because of Jesus. This past Sunday, we talked about being generous contributors. We looked at Mark chapter 12 and two stories of Jesus just sitting at the tabernacle and people watching. And he calls out the scribes, who are religious lawyers. They're well versed in the first 5 books of the Jewish Old Testament, the Torah, and they are very, very much of themselves. They wear fancy clothing. They want the best seats in the house, in the synagogue. They want all the attention. Jesus says they pray long prayers just so they can get recognized, and he has quite a few words for them. What we said in the sermon is they represent greedy consumers. And then Jesus helps us see what a generous contributor looks like by showing us this little glimpse of a poor widow woman. She has probably very little support. She's making very, very little money, pennies, and she, out of what I believe is a love for the Lord, is the only reason she's in the tabernacle doing what she's doing, gives all that she had, everything she had. And Jesus kind of doubles down there. Like, it wasn't just, hey, she gave all that she had, and that's figuratively. He reinforces the fact she gave everything that she had, meaning that she probably saved up 2 days worth of work, gave it, left that tabernacle with no money to her name, out of a worshipful heart for the Lord. And so we talked about how we're called to be generous contributors, and that we've got time and energy and money, all that the Lord has given us, that we are to give back for the good of the church and for the glory of God. So what are some takeaways that you guys had from the sermon on generous contributors?
I tell you, really, when you made the point that you can give $1,000 back in the offering bucket, or you can give 2 quarters, and God's going to use it for His kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Either way it goes, and it really just reminded me that He doesn't really need our money. He doesn't need what we're giving him. It's what he needs is our heart. What he wants is it's a heart. It's a heart posture thing. And we give to him because we trust him. He's going to give us abundance, and we trust him that whether we give our time or whether we give our finances, he's the one that provides everything for us.
Yeah. I didn't mention this in the sermon, but in Matthew 25, you got the parable of the talents. Jesus comes and gives 3 different servants 3 different amounts of money. You have 10, 5, and 2, I believe, are the numbers. And 10 and 5, they put it to work and used it for the glory of God. And then the guy with very little didn't do anything with it and was a poor steward. And in that story, you see that the 2 servants that had the most, God said that they were faithful in little. God's not impressed by what we think is great. And so we think we can give a great amount of money, we can give a great amount of our time, or have great skills that we give, and it's nothing compared to who he is. Right? He's after our heart, as you said, Darren. Chris, what were your takeaways today?
So the one analogy that I heard a while back when I was talking about this passage is, say you got someone that's a millionaire, right? And they give $100,000 to the church. That's what they put in the offering bucket. But then you got someone, that's low income. They only have maybe $40,000, and they give $1,000. Who gave more?
Right.
It's the $1,000 is more than the $100,000 in God's kingdom. Then that's just an interesting way of looking at the passage. And then I think that in this passage there's a warning about being conceited in your giving.
Yep.
It's like the Pharisees, they gave to be seen. They prayed to be seen. They walked around in their robes to be seen. And then they expected a certain response for the way they acted, especially in the way they gave. And I think we got to be careful, regardless of the number we give, that we're not that way. Like, hey, I give the church X amount, whether it's money or I'm there every Sunday serving, so I should be getting this certain response back. Yeah. And that's not the passage. The passage is to give and then give more, not to give and then demand something in return.
Right. Well, Pastor Matt, you had made the point that a lot of people had their eyes on the scribes. They dropped a lot in the bucket. It made noise. They had the robes on, and probably no one noticed the widow woman.
Yeah.
But Jesus did. Yep. Jesus noticed her, right? But there's also a warning about just those scribes, what they're coming to do, because they're just self-serving. They're just thinking about themselves. So if people are looking up to them and people like that, you're going to be caught into their web as well.
Yep. Yeah. When we look at it, there's 2 approaches. You have people that give out of their abundance and they're not being stretched because, and that's there's pride there, and then you have people that won't give because they don't have anything, and that's pride. And so just because you are, Jesus isn't saying, hey, blessed are those who have nothing at all. They clearly have a heart of generosity. No, that's not true at all. It's an understanding of everything I have comes from the Lord, and I want to give in such a way that honors him, even if it means I'm not going to be comfortable, or I've got to make some lifestyle changes, because Jesus is more important to me than anything else. Which goes to that passage in Matthew where Jesus says, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And you cannot serve God and money. And so in the sermon, made the point, you can't be a greedy consumer and a generous contributor. You can't be both. You're one or the other. And so I'm praying that our church longs to be generous contributors. And even how we think of our church in light of other churches, right? This consumeristic mindset of we constantly got to get better. We've got to do these things, as if those are things we should be chasing after. But again, for a church, it's the heart. Why do you do those things? For the glory of self, or for the glory of others? When we look at the text, what are some ways that we might be hesitant to? I know we've been talking about giving financially, But what are some reasons maybe we're hesitant to serve with our time and even give financially?
You know, you look at our schedules. We're busy. We work. We have children. I think I went to 3 different ball games this week.
Yeah.
And homecoming and all these things. So we're just busy people, and you worry about, do I have the time to serve? And I think that if you look at it that way, and you're looking at how stretched thin you are now, you might be hesitant to jump in and serve.
Yeah, good. The calendar becomes overwhelming. What's interesting is this is something as a pastor that I've never understood, and it tells me more about someone's heart than anything else. When we get busy, the first things that we begin to eliminate are the things of the church. It's never the things that we love to do for fun. And I just find that interesting because when our calendar gets busy, it's not the time to get rid of the stuff of Jesus, right? It's realizing that, hey, the most important thing I could be doing is going to life group, is making time for my church family on Sunday mornings, is making sure I'm still serving even though I'm tired. Chris, what about you?
I think maybe what's normal in our society is the push the things that we know that need to be done onto someone else, and not just taking up the cross and doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think it's, so like you get up there and you say in the sermon, or maybe more in the announcements, or I don't remember which part it was in, but the part where you say, we got the pamphlet and the bulletin to sign up for the different serve teams,
Right.
So like, you're like, well, probably somebody else will sign up for that.
Yeah.
So I don't need to. Or like, where you say, hey, we need this serve team. You're like, well, I think this guy would be better suited, so I'll just let him handle that. When you haven't even talked to him about it.
Right.
We want to push the responsibility onto someone else instead of just saying, just open yourself up to be used however God wants to use you.
Right.
So we're hesitant to commit because we just want to. We're just being lazy, really.
Yeah. We're after our own comfort. It's not about others, it's about ourselves. And we make excuses of, someone else could do that. I mean, I get that question a handful of times of, why doesn't this person do this? And my response is often, why don't you do it? Because if you see a need, then it's not who can do this. It's how can I get involved? How can I figure out how to help? If I think this is such a key thing in the church that needs to be done, and no one else is talking about it, then maybe the Lord's put that on your heart to do it. And so don't wait to get involved. And at Grace Life, we strive for a simple ministry model where we don't want ministry to be a burden. We want it to be a blessing. And so we work towards that, and we try to onboard in a way that helps and find people places to serve where they delight in serving instead of just to test it over time because it's not their thing. But we want, one of the things I mentioned in the sermon and what we'll hear and we'll really get into at our members meeting, and something we're going to be part of our normal language, is every member ministry. Every member has a role in our church, whether it is on the stage or behind the scenes or at the door or with the kids or with the students. I mean, we just dropped off our kids for student ministry, and I see one of our church members serving them in a way that out of the goodness of their heart, and because that's her role. She loves doing that, and that's her ministry. So your ministry may not be front and present. It could be behind the scenes, and man, those roles are so important. And some of my favorite, it's easy to be up on stage, honestly. It's much more difficult to serve when no one sees it, when no one knows. I mean, that's humble service. And so every member has a ministry at Grace Life, and we want to make sure we get you plugged into that role. All right, any last thoughts, guys, on being generous contributors before we hang it up from the road?
Yeah, I think a lot of times people struggle with how much could I give, where can I serve, those type of questions. And I would say, one, pray on it.
Yep.
Consult the Lord. Speak to the Holy Spirit about it and see where He guides you. But number two, ask the pastor, ask the ministry leaders, and I guarantee you they'll know where you can fit in.
Yeah. I mean, we could use some volunteers in Kid Life. This is a sponsor ad for Kid Life for Chris, but we've got all sorts of things from creative positions to Kid Life positions. But yeah, ask a question, ask around. Go see Tim at the connections table on a Sunday morning, or email us at info@thegracelifechurch.org and see where you can get involved. Chris, any last words from you?
I just say don't be hesitant to jump in.
Yeah.
Because it can be awkward, especially when you're like first trying to sign up and figure out where you fit in and how it's going to work.
Right.
And so you're like, well, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I don't want to do this. Just jump in.
Just jump in.
And be flexible and see what happens and how it ends up. Like, it's every member ministry, there's a spot for everyone somewhere.
Right.
So don't be hesitant to open yourself up to that.
And here's the joy about serving, is you're going to get to know other people in our church and serve alongside of them. And it's truly a wonderful blessing to belong to the church. As I was heading home this afternoon, I had the thought that there's a lot of people that think they belong to a local church, but they're just attenders. They just come and they are consumers. Let's not just be attenders, but be belongers. Belong to Grace Life, and we want you a part of our family, and finding a place for you and getting to serve Jesus alongside of you is our desire. Thank you, Darren and Chris, for being on the road with me and recording this episode of the After the Sermon podcast. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and Lord willing, we will see you at life groups. God bless.